Chase by Dallas, make it hurt.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Let's Talk Commercial Real Estate Investing. Education Wednesdays, the Black Edition, the Black Community Edition. I'm your humble host, Dominic Green, Managing Partner of Tenants Commercial Real Estate Services here in the DFW area. And so I wanted to check in with you guys and on this Wednesday, just kind of talk about industrial a little bit, light industrial that is. And the reason that came to mind is I just happened to come across across a couple of properties that came across my desk as I was looking to consult a potential client about their particular needs, and that subject came up with flex space and stuff like that. And so, because they're looking for a location to also house their business and also get some income, so they want to be in a sense, owner, operator, and property manager of the property. But nonetheless, it just so happens that, it's one of those things when you start looking, then all of a sudden things just start popping up. And so that happened to be the case with the light industrial properties, kind of your shallow bays. And basically, these are properties that, in essence, are, under 100,000 square feet, somewhere between ideally 80,000 square feet. In most cases, you're going to have your small to mid-sized businesses. You'll have that flexible use in a sense where, in some instances, the spaces are maybe 20 to 30% office, and the rest is warehouse space. And I think in some stuff that I saw, they had some locations where it was 100% office space. But nonetheless, when you're looking at the reports, you'll see that a lot of as far as performance, as far as rents in shallow bay properties versus your bulk properties, which you have your large users and warehouse users, where in those cases it's probably about 10% office, if that, less. The buildings are cross-docking in most cases, not like some of these shallow bays, which are rear loading, and then you don't have all the same I would say the requirements for the truck court because of the large trailers and stuff like that a lot of those bulk industrial business parks will use or have for their clients, because they're moving a mass amount of product through the facility. These are kind of be more of your, more of your mid-sized businesses, some of your third-party logistics companies that are on the grand scale, some of your businesses that are doing maybe some minor manufacturing or assembly in there, stuff like that. Not your Amazons, which, although Amazon has been looking for more of the infield, and along with all the other e-commerce giants as well, your Targets and stuff like that. Your what's the other company, Wish, them guys, where they're moving product or other people's product with the marketplace or holding in store and then sending it out, looking for that infield, inner or urban locations, to where they can get product to you quicker. Because the name of the game, and Amazon was a big push on that, is getting stuff to you sooner. Before it was 3-4 days, then it was 2 days, then it became 1 day, then it became same day, then it became a couple hours, 2 hours. and they're trying to get it to the point to where it's even shorter than that. So in order to facilitate all that, you got to be closer and closer to your customer. Obviously, on the back end, you're going to have the analytics and stuff like that of what product should be closer. That's based on so that's being shipped closer. But not to get into all that. From an investment standpoint, let's talk about that. These particular products, I guess like I said, you look and then all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. Have been coming on the market here lately. Some of them have been here and well, the ones I looked at have all been in Dallas or in Houston, where you're close by the labor force that you would need depending on the business. Then you have all the amenities around: food, shelter, apartments, housing, stuff like that, and access, ease of from the freeways, the major freeways, thoroughfares, and all that good jazz. But nonetheless, like I said, it's probably one of those things where when you look for it, you see more of it. But I have been noticing that those products are coming to the market, and there's a whole lot of other stuff that's coming to the market. I know from like in the net list deal, I was reading the articles, and I had seen that people now are trying to get rid of the properties that had the trouble tenants in it, non-credit tenants. Something that they bought that they just couldn't manage properly or figure it out because obviously the location was bad. Remember, as I always tell you guys, that real estate is local, and real estate is about the businesses or the community, right? So what does the community or business need? How does it best serve? And when you're looking at these industrial properties, especially where you have a lot of your small, mid-sized companies, you try to look for like what's the trend. And usually the trend from leasing standpoint is always going to be you're going to higher velocity on the lower end of users, people that need 10,000 or less space, versus people that need 50 to 100,000 plus square feet. Those are just two different type of businesses, two different type of needs and requirements. So the velocity of opportunity to re-tenant, release those spaces, there's a bigger lag in between. One of the companies always say look for a model, somebody that's modeling, somebody's doing what you're looking to acquire. You see how they're doing, achieving stuff like that, and get some insights from them. I know that one of the properties I saw, PS Business Parks, was actually selling. They were actually getting rid of, and they specialize in a lot of that. Shiloh Bay industrial properties, business parks. They have a whole portfolio. I want to say they're probably one of the large players in it. I'll have to double check that, but nonetheless, I've done business with them from a leasing standpoint. For them, it's just like leasing an apartment. They offer short-term leases, flexibility. A lot of their spaces are ready to go. So it's pretty much one of the things you just move in and lease, show and go. But you just also got to pay attention to their lease terms, though, because their leases are a little bit different. They require a little bit more, and their leases are definitely more landlord friendly. So just a key note, just from experience of dealing with them on that. But looking at the reports, especially in the areas that you're looking in, this platform is nationwide. So I'm not too sure where you guys are located at. I did read also that JLL just put out a report about demand for such industrial space. Some of the trending markets that are getting higher demand. I know I mentioned Tampa, which I've been hearing about Tampa a lot as far as people moving there. As far as everything from multifamily, retail, now industrial, if it wasn't already there. Columbus, Ohio, they were talking about Columbus being the one of the best locations because it's close to everywhere in Ohio in that facility. So the drive time to get to your customers, whether it's shipping and getting stuff in and getting stuff out, is economical and efficient. Um, and then they did mention, Dallas as well, so your Texas location. Um, but Columbus, Ohio, Tampa were kind of one of their big ones that was on that list. So if you guys are in those areas, you definitely should be looking into it, especially if you're interested in industrial product, which, like I said, everybody's been going after. Cap rates have been compressed, for a lot of the sectors. And, like I said, real estate is local, so you definitely want to understand your market, because things could be definitely different than from on a national scale. But nonetheless, like I said, these shallow bay properties, target a little bit more of the small and mid-sized businesses, versus your large tenant, credit tenant type businesses. But if you understand their business and understand, is this a mission critical type of need, that call also plays into, your underwriting and what you're willing to offer on a certain property for a certain cash flow at the end of the day. But when you're dealing with industrial, and what people love about it is because the TI dollars is not as much. I mean, you gotta really understand, you're really talking about, a couple walls. Some of these locations don't have full HVAC build outs, which could be an issue, could not be an issue. Majority of his warehouse, very little of his office, so your, like I said, your build out cost is lower. Your expenses is lower. You don't necessarily have all the common areas and stuff like that. Obviously, the parking lot, depending on what type of trucks and stuff are coming through and usage of that. I know parking is going to be big, depending on the company, because they're also going to want employee parking. You also start to see a lot of these locations have more truck, trailer parking. So they want to leave the trailers come in, they drop them off, and then they need to remove those trailers and put them somewhere to store, or have those trailers dropped off, and then they come back later in the day and they unload them. So you are starting to see more of a need for that, in my opinion. Just the stuff that I looked at. But e-commerce ain't going anywhere. It's, statistically, they were saying there's roughly about 16% of all sales. So still people are still going to places buying. I know that one of the articles I also read was that some customers were complaining because they can't, typically, they're going in store to try on stuff, and they had to get multiple of the items, go home and try them on, and because they weren't able to. The fitting rooms for some reason are still being closed due to COVID, so people can't use the fitting rooms. So it's also one of those things, where you buy online, you're buying all the different types of stuff that you would want to try, and then you send everything back, right? So from a logistics standpoint, that's a cost for them, for businesses. But nonetheless, from an investment standpoint, low cost of ownership, depending on where it's located, what type of property it is. You could have the demand drivers to where you're always, you're not 100% full, but you're close to it. Typically in these buildings they'll be somewhere between, from what I've seen, almost around 90% on average occupied, and just cash flowing. The lease terms are somewhere between 3 and 5. And it also just depends on the type of business and how much space they took. And like I said again, is it mission critical? Well, they might go out to 7 to 10, but 3 to 5. I know, like I said, PS Business Park, they offer as low as a year, so that's kind of almost like an apartment in a sense, where you have that quick turnover. But they were usually going to be in spaces that don't require any additional rehab too. It's kind of one of those market ready suites, so plug and play, you move in. But again, those particular properties are good. Just know your areas where you're looking to buy them at, understand the businesses that are in there, terms, try to get guidance on what the current cap rates are in your local market. and do your due diligence, do your underwriting, and come up with a valuation. It's multiplication, add and subtract. Not nothing too difficult. And figure out what you're willing to pay for the cash flow, based on how you would operate it, or how it needs to be operated, especially if you need to use a third party operator. And then obviously leasing. Who's at least part of the leasing team, how they're gonna keep your place full. All that stuff that goes into it. All of this. But yeah, just wanted to drop in, talk a little bit about industrial. That just because I just so happen to be doing something on that. For those who follow the channel and subscribe, if you guys have any further comments to add to this commentary, definitely add it. Like I said, this platform is designed for us to come together, share, group economics, group information, group knowledge, group experience, all for the betterment for all of us to, go out here and acquire properties like that. So we can get the cash, obviously it's a great investment that cash flows, so we can fund the things again that are also important to us: family, friends, generations, other business ventures, you name it. Because as I told you before, I believe that commercial real estate that is one of those important things to have, that builds towards building wealth, which builds influence and power and all the things and stuff like that goes along with it. But it's all about owning, being controlling, and I think working together, coming together, having this platform where we can discuss that, have the conversations, reach out to each other, work with one another. It's beneficial, because together we can do more, as opposed to being individual. You can only go fast and only get little done, because this is a team sport. So it takes a team to achieve and to acquire these properties. It's not one of those things that's an individual sport. So, as always, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Let's build this, join the groups. If you have any particular comments for me or needs for me, definitely leave that in the comment section or reach out to me. My information is on this channel. I'll do my best to help. Also, if there's any particular topics you guys want to talk about, I don't know everything. I can only go off things that I experienced and that I experienced from a professional standpoint. Is running our brokerage, and the stuff that I'm interested in personally. Which again, oddly enough, I'm looking at affordable housing, because I think this, from a long-term perspective, I think, I believe, not think, that given what I've researched and known, that this affordability crisis is going to be something that's going to be with us for a long while, right? And so just seeing the velocity of, especially these syndicators and stuff that I see, the deals that come across of, and then also what their brokers are selling at these properties. There's these locations, they're going in, they're doing the value add, and they're raising the rents, right? And again, the whole thing with people's wages haven't increased at the same rate. So, and everything else is more expensive. So a larger portion of people's income is going towards of rent, because obviously they're not making as much. So I think it's one of those things where you have an inherent demand, just because of given situation that's not going to go away, because we were already short on affordable locations anyway, short on housing. So I think it's just going to be further exacerbated, especially with COVID and stuff like that. So oddly enough, out of all the stuff that I look at, even though I still look at other stuff, my focus is kind of towards that, to where understanding the markets more, having discussions with other individuals that can be part of the team, and going out here and doing good while doing well, right? Doing good in the sense that we're providing affordable, clean, safe housing, and also doing well. We're making a return on the investment, so we can continue that process. It all works in conjunction. So Again, thanks guys for tuning in. Education Wednesdays. Let's continue to talk commercial real estate and invest in black people. And if you need anything, definitely leave a comment. Like I said, definitely share, subscribe, give a thumbs up. Let's build up this so we can share this information with others. And until next time, happy investing. Peace.
These my dollars make it hurt.